Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nurul Amilin Hussein, and I'm an assistant professor in the Sociology department at NTU, and I will be giving you this talk. So I'm happy to meet you all today and share with you some information about the course, stuff like course curriculum, and thank you for joining us. I'm also an alumni, so I was an undergraduate in NTU Sociology, and I'll be sharing some of my experiences while I was an undergraduate, and hopefully that will be useful for you. So first off, I'm not sure how many of you have visited the building, but this is a pretty famous building in NTU. It's called the Hive. When I was an undergraduate, it was not built, so it was really nice to get to see it when I came here as faculty. And there are many more study spaces now than there were when I was younger, but the School of Humanities and Social Sciences is in a pretty good location. It's next to the Hive and the new Gaia building. I suggest some of you go down to take a look if you want to know kind of where you'll be studying. So I was an undergraduate at NTU Sociology. I matriculated in 2009, so that's a very long time ago. And maybe I'll start off with telling you a bit about myself and how what led me to apply to the program. So I was born and raised in Singapore. I went through all of the usual schooling processes, and after JC I had to choose something to do. And when I was choosing a university program to apply to, I drew on the kinds of subjects and topics that I had enjoyed in JC. So I really liked English literature, and I really liked GP, so general paper. I enjoyed studying GP, and I had learned about some sociological theories during that time. So we learned about Marxism, we learned about functionalist theory, and we read a couple of books on sociological theory. I think I remembered that when I was looking at different university courses, and my interest in what those lessons had led to, which were discussions around issues like ethnicity, race, class, sometimes even politics, that led me to applying to sociology. And I still maintain that those 4 years I spent as an undergraduate were some of my most enjoyable years. I still have friends from that time that I keep in touch with, and I have a lot of respect for the professors, some of which are still in the department that I learned from. I benefited a lot from the opportunities that I was given during my time as an undergraduate. So something that particularly formed, I guess, the initial motivation to end up choosing to become an academic was all of the research opportunities that I had as an undergraduate. So I did research projects, I think probably in my second, third, and fourth year. There's the Eureka program, which you can learn more about if you visit the booths in the Nanyang Auditorium. But basically it allows you to undertake quite rigorous research as an undergraduate under close supervision from faculty. That was really what made me interested in pursuing research. I enjoyed it so much. And I think without that formative experience, I might not have pursued my master's, which then led me to pursue my PhD. And I'm still passionate about some of the same things I learned as an undergraduate. So I started doing research in like sustainability issues and climate change as a year 3 undergraduate. And sustainability and climate change is still something I look at in my work now. So more than 10 years after that. So that's a long time. And that's just to give you maybe some background on why I am giving you the talk today. So if you have any questions about what it was like being a student and my time here as a student or faculty, I'm happy to answer them at the end. So I don't have a lot of slides, but I hope what I will be saying will be clear. You can feel free to bring up any questions in the Q&A later. So now I'll talk more about the technical aspects of the program. So the sociology program at NTU is one of 4 programs in the School of Social Sciences. The other 3 are economics, public policy and global affairs, and psychology. If you are accepted into the sociology program directly, if you apply to the sociology program, you'll be accepted into the major directly. You will start your university program being trained immediately in the major, but you'll also have the opportunity to do some interdisciplinary courses, some modules from other departments and other schools, and that was something that was really interesting when I was an undergraduate myself. I did courses in communication, so there were courses offered by Wee Kim Wee School, the School of Biology, and I think English literature, and I found those very interesting. The skills that you hone in sociology itself, skills in critical thinking and writing, often put you in a good position to do well in other subjects. So now I will talk about, I'll talk a bit about the faculty and the student community in sociology. So sociology is a mid-sized department. There are many advantages that come with being mid-sized. So we have usually maybe slightly less than 20 faculty members at any one time, and usually around 400 undergraduates in total. And then we also have graduate students. So being mid-sized, we have faculty members that represent research interests and areas that cover quite a large range. So we have faculty that do research on, and this is not a complete list, people that do research on inequality and social class, migration, subcultures, social psychology, aging, land use, sustainability in the global south, smart cities, and different kinds of urbanism. So lots of research areas means that students have many opportunities to pursue a sort of line of questioning or subject area that they are interested in. And they will also be in a position where they can pursue research projects that speak to them. Being mid-sized, we're also small enough that people feel welcome and don't feel lost when they arrive. So it's been my experience I was much more shy and much more introverted as an undergraduate, and I found it very difficult to speak to people. I just like reading and writing, but I found life here, and especially the experience in the NTU Sociology department, really rewarding. It's kind of a place where you can come in as many different people and sort of get out of the experience what you want, because it's a nice environment. Everyone from admin staff to faculty to the other students were warm and enthusiastic, and I found them to be generally supportive. So the learning community is very important for various reasons. So firstly, university work can be challenging. So sometimes you might feel like what you've done before university was the toughest thing that you've kind of had to go through, if it was A-levels or otherwise. But university being maybe 4 years long, you're learning a lot of new things. You're also in an age where there are a lot of conflicting demands. Having an environment that is mutually supportive and encouraging can really make it more enjoyable. I had a study group as an undergraduate that I kept through all 4 years, and I think forming that study group in the first term of my first year was probably the biggest contributing factor to getting the grades that I got. Also, a warm learning community means that difficult conversations and debates can be had. So students can actually practice working together and developing ideas together, even things that might be considered pretty sensitive outside of the classroom. So there were conversations on race, there were conversations on social class, conversations around subcultures, gender and sexuality. all of these things that I didn't really have experience engaging with outside of the classroom. And these things that we developed together, the capacity to think critically, to develop arguments, were all important capacities for every young person to start cultivating. So maybe the word sociology is kind of difficult to define. It's not a common word you use outside maybe of like academic circles. So what does it actually mean? So put simply, sociology is the study of society. So it's the study of people in groups. One of the differences between sociology and psychology, I'm not sure if it's accurate, but it's something that I use to differentiate the two disciplines, is that psychology tends to focus on the individual and sociology tends to focus on the group. Yeah, so to give you a sense of the kinds of questions we attempt to answer in sociology, here is a range. These are books that my colleagues have published, and as you can see, they deal with many different sorts of topics. And sociology is also a discipline that attempts to answer questions that are important to society, some things that maybe we think about on a daily basis, but we've never really formalized questions around, like when you ask about why people tend to stick to other people that are more similar to them, questions around similarities and differences, even something like what is the role our neighbors play in how happy we are living in our estates. These questions have sociological underpinnings, and they're pretty common and contemporary questions that I think will be very interesting to explore. Sociologists, perhaps more than some of the other social science disciplines, are especially interested in making the connections between the micro and the macro, and our methodologies span quite a wide range. So from ethnographic observations of day-to-day life, like observing people up close, doing interviews with them, for example, observing them in their daily activities and talking to them, doing focus groups, doing surveys, statistical analysis. Sometimes people do discourse analysis, so they analyze texts or media documents. All of these methodologies have a place in sociology, and the purpose of using such a large range of methodologies is to be able to take a more holistic view of how things come about, how things work, and how they might change over time. So whether you are more qualitative oriented or quantitative oriented, if you really like stats and you wonder if there's some way you can use that in your research projects in some place like sociology, you can. So in short, sociology empowers us to ask questions in creative and novel ways and provides us with tools to answer them through gathering concrete empirical evidence. So we observe and study the world by being in it. And this matters because the world is becoming an increasingly complex place, and some questions, as we've learned, are challenging to answer. Now I will talk about the sociology curriculum. So the course structure. So students will take compulsory core courses and choose from a range of elective courses. I will go through some of the examples in the next few slides. In the final year, they may also complete a graduation project. So the core courses provide foundational training in how sociologists frame questions about the social world. So this is also where students will learn about the different methods sociologists use in research and receive training in both qualitative and quantitative skills. The courses also teach skills in critical thinking and communicating complex ideas. So some of these courses that appear here were courses that I took myself as an undergraduate. I still remember taking Person and Society in the first term I was here. We had a textbook then. Classical social theory was taught by Prof. Teo Yo Yen, and it still remains one of the most exciting courses I've done. It was one of my favorite modules ever. These are examples of elective courses. So elective courses kind of have a choice. They allow students to further explore the areas you're specifically interested in. And many faculty members have different research areas, which means that there's quite a large range of elective courses that are offered every year. So you see here courses like environmental sustainability, course on sociology of science and technology, sociology of gender, sociology of tourism, migration and development in a globalizing world, sociology of Islam in the Malay world. So there's a whole range of topics of interest. And in the last year, students undertake a graduation project. So what a graduation project is it's like a capstone project where students choose a question and then choose a method and then attempt to explore the question through their method. So these are some examples of specific courses we have here. As you can see also, like for example, when I was an undergraduate, the last two courses were not offered, but in time with different faculty members and as contemporary issues change, the kinds of courses we also offer reflects those contemporary changes. So with technological development, technological change, and smart cities, some of our course offerings have also shifted. So the important question, after graduation, what will you do? Don't worry, as you can see, I'm employed. So there are career options. So sociology graduates go on to a wide range of sectors and many different types of jobs, including those listed here. So if you have one of the booklets from the open house, it will tell you some of the breakdowns of this. There is information on where most of our graduates go most frequently. And because our training focuses on building core skills and competencies that are important in every workplace, we often find our graduates going to a diverse range of industry. So an NTU honors degree in sociology also enables you to pursue graduate level studies in the social sciences or other relevant fields such as business, law, and public policy. The research training you receive in the sociology department doesn't just kind of limit you to sociology. A lot of times the skills you learn are very transferable to other social sciences. For example, I did my master's in anthropology and I did my PhD in geography. Throughout, I was using skills that I had learned primarily in sociology as an undergraduate. So I found the training I received in the program very valuable, not just in graduate school, but also now in my current work as an academic, even in jobs that I had in between. So in between masters and PhD, I took some time out to work, not in academia. I did an internship for a very short time in like a local fashion label that was completely unrelated, but the writing skills, some of the communication skills were really important. And then I had a longer period where I spent my time working as a sustainability consultant. I really enjoyed that. And I felt like I was well prepared for that job because of the training I had. So I'm grateful I got to talk to all of you today. I hope you end up choosing a path you find meaning and purpose in. And this is the end of my talk. I'm happy to take questions. I also recommend you go to the sociology booth in the Nanyang Auditorium at the B1, at level B1, so that you can meet some of my colleagues and ask them about their experience. Yeah, thank you.
For the double majors offered alongside sociology, do you apply for it on entry, or do you express that you have an interest in a double majors in your application?
Sorry, could you repeat?
For double majors with sociology, do you declare it on entry or while applying?
Okay, I'm not too sure about that question, but I can refer you to.
Okay, hi. So there are no double majors with sociology. Sorry, I don't know where's the question. There are no double majors with sociology, but the double majors you do, in general, the double majors you do apply for it on entry and you get it at entry. So perhaps, I don't know whether you have in mind the second major, which is slightly different. That is something you apply for after you enter. And as long as you meet a certain GPA, you are able to do that.
Okay.
All right? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Are there any other questions?
Hi, I just wanted to ask, other than questions to Prof, actually myself, I am a year 4 sociology undergraduate, and Felicity is also a year 1 sociology undergraduate. So if you have any questions to ask, something more that's related to student life or even about our own experiences as students or undergraduates in sociology, you can also ask as well. Yeah. If there are no questions, then perhaps I think I will just do some sharing about my perspective as a sociology undergraduate. And if you have any questions from what I've shared, then you can feel free to raise your hand and then Felicity will bring to you the mic. Or Felicity, if you want to add on. So, yeah. Okay, so I will be honest. I will put aside my cap as a student ambassador. But I think 4 years ago, or including national service, 6 years ago, when I wanted to apply for my undergraduate course, I was also very perplexed. I think it's a very anxious thing to kind of know or think about like what course I want to take. But I think one personal advice would be to kind of think about what you want to do and what impact you want to have on the world. And I guess that's also the reason why I chose sociology. So as what Prof. Amilin shared extensively about sociology is that we get a lot of exposure in terms of understanding how society works or how societal relation or social structure works, which I think we don't really get to question on a daily basis. So sociology equips you with that lens to kind of see how things around you or question our social reality. A personal advice is that if you, after this talk, or even if you don't have any questions, you can always search online if you're still curious about sociology, about like what it is. I think personally for me, I searched Crash Course, if anybody knows that YouTube channel. If sociology is still something that you think you don't really understand what it is, simple videos on YouTube kind of gives you a simple introduction of what sociology is. And then, yeah, you can always come back to us and ask questions. Yeah. Any other questions related to sociology? Yes. I think he. Wait, where? Yeah, where? The pink.
Oh, okay.
Hi, can I ask, right, what style of lessons would the class be like? Like, is it seminar style or is it like lecture tutorial, that kind?
It depends actually, depending on the module. So usually for lower level modules, it's a tutorial, lecture and tutorial style. But once you get to the higher level modules, they are seminar. And it's because the things that we learn, the nature of the subject requires us to learn from other people's perspective. And therefore seminar is actually a more, in my personal opinion, I think I enjoy seminar more than the lecture and tutorial, because we have 3 to 4 hours where it's not just the professor talking, but even as students we get to voice our opinions or even share our perspectives on the things that we are trying to study. Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries.
Could I ask, like, what's the class size?
I don't think we have a fix.
So for our biggest classes would probably be the first year classes, because we take in about 100 students a year. So the first year lectures will be 100. But as you go to higher levels, because not everybody is taking the classes, the larger lectures might be maybe 60 students. And then when it gets to fourth year, the seminars, they would be maybe 20 to 30, maybe even 15, 10 students, depending on how many people are taking. So it starts from bigger lectures and moves to smaller class sizes. And the tutorials are usually about 20 students in a tutorial. So plenty of space to talk and be seen and heard.
Also, this is kind of a general question, but I'm still not too sure about what's the difference between a double major, a double degree, and then there's like a second major. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much. So a double degree, we only have one in the School of Social Sciences, and that will be Econs and Engineering. So for double major, we have a few set programs, and basically the simple difference is for a double major you do 50-50 of each major, and we have a few set programs: Econs and PPGA, Public Policy and Global Affairs, Environmental Sciences and Public Policy and Global Affairs, Psychology and Media Analytics, and a few others. You can take a look at our catalog. So you will do 50-50. The second major is something that you do. You can start to declare when you are in uni after the first year, and is something like 66.66% and 33.33% as your second major. So either way, you will get to do fewer of electives if you choose to do the double major or the second major. But the key difference is the double degree and double major, both you are admitted as that, whereas the second major you can decide later on. I hope that answers the question. Yeah.
Hi, this is a more general question, but do you have any advice for people who are looking to study sociology? Especially because I think there is a trend where people who study like liberal arts or like the humanities feel a bit more helpless or depressed about global situations. Yeah. So personally, how have you managed these kind of feelings, if any, yeah, or any other general advice? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That's a very interesting question. Maybe I'll tell you, like, from my experience, I don't think I anticipated that learning a lot more about like current issues might make me, like feel sometimes like more upset because I was more aware. There's definitely that happens, I think, initially, but it's going to happen whether or not you're in sociology. So as long as you're young and you're kind of growing older, and then you're learning more, and you're getting information, you will learn about things that you are upset by, and that will be very upsetting. The difference, I feel, in social sciences is that, and across most of the social sciences, whether you're in English Lit or you are in sociology or politics, is that as you learn these really upsetting things, you are given like a framework to understand it, and then depending on how you want to go about dealing with being upset, you're also given tools. So I feel like it's more productive sometimes to learn these kinds of skills, whether you choose to enter social sciences or not, because you're going to be receiving information about the world anyway. Yeah. So I'm still upset. I just have a lot more tools now to understand how to deal with it, and that's made me much more effective in all other areas of my life. Thank you.
Testing. Sorry, who raised the... Sorry, can who raised their hand?
Raise your hand if you have a question.
Yeah.
I'm
just lost.
Then he can find you.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
I hope it's not too intrusive, but is there any recommended reading to help us get a feel of what kind of text we might be using or going through in the program?
I think what helps, because the program generally draws not necessarily from a singular textbook. We might use the singular textbook for something like statistics, the course on statistics, for example. We use a range of like readings, so journal articles. I think what would be helpful, I read classical social theory before I came in as an undergraduate. So I read like works by Marx and like Weber, and just general things. So you just go online and then look at like what some of the classical sociological theory looks like, and then get a sense of the language. I think that was very helpful for me, because the big difference between maybe like JC and doing something as focused as sociology at a university level is that you have to get a bit used to the terms. So I would expose myself maybe less to the content, which I think might be easier to understand as you go along, just like the language, like maybe some of the definitional terms, like social class, what does it mean specifically, inequality, means of production, stuff like that. If you maybe prepare beforehand, it would be helpful. Yeah. Would you have something maybe to give as advice to the students?
So this is why Ameline was our top student, right? Because she was I didn't read Marx at all before I did sociology, so don't feel you have to. Of course you can, right? It probably puts you at an edge, but I would say just read widely in terms of social issues. Read papers, follow Instagram accounts of people like Walid who talk about social issues, watch documentaries, just be aware of what's going on around us, because sociologists, our laboratory is the world, right? We study social issues, what's going on around us. So just be aware of what is happening, and then you can, even if the theory takes a bit longer, you can use the theory to help understand what's going on. So I would say, and of course, plug for our colleague Yu Yan's book, This is What Inequality Looks Like. It's a very accessible way to understand sociology because it's not really written in very highly technical language, and it's about Singapore, so and it's not too expensive. So.
Sorry, just now I saw that one of the area of career can be F&B, but I cannot relate how is this work going to be in F&B. Maybe can you explain a little food and beverages? How to relate this in F&B environment?
I mean, we teach skills, right? And in addition to reading, writing skills, I think we also teach things like more about problem solving, project management. So when you do your final year project, you have to manage the whole thing yourself, right? You have to decide how you're going to recruit people to interview, how long you're going to spend on each task. If you're working in a team, you also have to deal with that. So I think maybe project management skills get transferred to food and beverages, not in terms of maybe necessarily being involved in the making of it, but involved in logistics, project management, which our students go into, which is what I'm not sure exactly, but I assume it's around those lines.
For food and beverages, the kinds of jobs I've seen sociology majors go into usually relate to like supply chain stuff. So you have like F&B, you have huge companies, and increasingly because of like climate change, environmental disasters, all of these things, supply of certain commodities are limited during certain periods, and then that management often takes on like if you're trained in social sciences, if you're trained in sociology, and you're interested in things like the environment, this would be where people would go into, like coffee, commodities.
Hi. I understand that sociology is the study of society and people, right? And I believe there are differing views to many. So what kind of, how much of freedom and liberty is given to students to question that differing views here? Yeah. And will they be penalized for, voicing out? Because it's very sensitive issues, right? Yeah.
Hi, I'm actually a first-year student. I'm finishing my first year, and I just want to say that this definitely was an issue that I was concerned with, especially in my first semester. But what I realized is that in the sociology classroom, it's actually very accommodating. So we don't necessarily say that there's a bad answer. It's more of answers that have it's more focused on one area as opposed to an answer that accommodates for multiple social factors. So it's not that we would invalidate answers, but it's more of considering the different scopes within your answer. Yeah.
Faculty members also discuss the idea of like censorship, what's appropriate in a classroom, should we build safe spaces specifically because of certain topics, whether we should do that or not. So I feel like the question of censorship is probably like a society-wide one. You probably face various forms of censorship every time you are attempting to express yourself. I think the point of university education, especially university education in something like sociology, is that the space is a little bit more accommodating to testing out views and ideas. So I think if like you come in very, like bigoted and then like wanting to insult everyone, you can, but it's not very useful, and it often doesn't lead to a lot of like learning. But I think what the classroom really allows you to do, I found throughout my years as a student, is that you test out sometimes even unpopular ideas. And when you get the friction that is caused between those ideas and people that oppose it is usually the thing that will sharpen your overall worldview. Yeah. So don't worry too much about like, if you come in and you have a certain view on gender or sexuality or religion, you're going to be shut down, because the training you will receive, if you want to continue having, like, for example, if you have like a very extreme view and you come into class, I think the training that you will receive will help you figure out how to express it and the kind of boundaries you also want to draw on your opinions. Yeah. Thank you. Are there any more questions? Okay, if there are no other questions, I hope you make your way down to the sociology booth, if you haven't already, at the Nanyang Auditorium. Thank you.